All right, Eric Mangini, Fox Sports NFL analyst, former NFL coach, Jets, Browns. All right, let's talk Brandon Staley. My take is quarterback, left tackle, corner, one receiver, aging but good, pass rusher, and a top pick. That of the jobs that are open, this is what I consider when the Cowboys were open. I had a committed franchise in Dak. When the Packers were open, I had a committed stable franchise in Rodgers. I think this is a pretty good job. Am I wrong?
Well, it's a pretty good job because of the quarterback, just like the two other jobs that you cited. As long as you've got a quarterback that can put you into every single game and give you a chance to win not only every single game, but go deep in the playoffs and possibly win a championship, then it's a good job. Just like with the Blazing Five, you bet your job on quarterbacks, not necessarily anything else. Now, where this is a challenging job is there's a lot of people involved in the organization that are owners. And the word on the street is that it's a lot like a family business, and there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen. So whenever you have that type of situation, it can make it a really difficult job from whether you're the GM, whether you're the head coach, to really get the things done that you want to get done. Everything is more difficult. So I think that's where it's hard. They're not in great salary cap space. They don't typically pay coaches a lot of money, and then they're in a tough division. So you're going to have to go in and if you want to go to the playoffs and you want to have home games, win a division that's filled with other good quarterbacks and really good coaches.
Now you've got the number 5 pick. Herbert's not playing, so that could go up, right, to 4 or 3. They don't need a left tackle, they don't need a quarterback in a draft at the top that's loaded with both. Would you trade it down and just supplant this roster? What would you do if you ran the franchise today with that pick?
Yeah, if you don't feel strongly about whoever's sitting there at your pick, it makes a ton of sense to try to trade back and get as many picks as you can, especially because you can't go and improve the team much in free agency based off where you are from a salary cap perspective. So to be able to turn that pick into a bunch of picks, maybe not just this year, but future picks as well, that to me is a great approach. And then it's going to be so interesting to see how they decide to set up the power structure there. Are they going to go get a GM first? Are they going to put the coach, get a strong head coach and let him be part of the process to pick the GM? I think that the way that plays out is going to be interesting as to the way they approach the draft too.
Bill Belichick, Jim Harbaugh. You know Belichick well. There's reports now that have surfaced that they've made a decision to move on. Do you think because I think his name will get thrown out. Do you think his personality fits there? Is he a West Coast capable guy? He knows how much quarterback matters, and I don't think Bill wants to develop and roll the dice on another quarterback. Do you think Bill would be interested in this job if they called?
Well, the one thing, again, is if you believe that the quarterback is a franchise quarterback, we've all seen what Bill can do with a franchise quarterback. And if you're going to go take one final job, the last thing you want to do is have uncertainty at that position. So that, to me, makes it intriguing for anybody who's looking at it. Now, would they allow a personality like Bill in the building? Because he's not going to be subservient to a GM. He's going to have to run the whole show. But if he's available and open to the idea, him with a great quarterback, it could be special very quickly, and he can go head to head with any of those coaches in the division, obviously.
Okay, I got to ask you a couple questions here. The Cleveland situation's crazy. So I'm a big fan of offensive coaches if you have the option to hire one. What Stefanski's done with Joe Flacco is nuts. It's just crazy to me. I watch them. And I'm not saying they're better than they would be with Deshaun Watson, but I'm saying they looked better when I've watched them with Flacco than Deshaun Watson. I don't know why, but what do you make of what's happening there? Because I suddenly watch Cleveland and I think, I wouldn't want to play Cleveland. Flacco's a grown-up. He can make all the throws. I wouldn't want to face him.
Yeah, you know that I've loved Cleveland going into the season. Then they lost Nick Chubb. Then everything happened with Deshaun Watson. And they've still found a way to figure out how to win. I think one of the great things they do is they'll consistently run the ball regardless of how well it's going. And that allows their great defense to rest, and it eats up time of possession, and it puts the great defense back on the field with an advantage as opposed to a disadvantage, and it shortens games. And now they've got a guy like Joe Flacco, and when I watched him, it just felt like there was an adult at quarterback.
Yeah.
And I know he's older. I know he didn't have a great run at the Jets, but you've got a guy who's experienced, who has won in big moments, who's won a Super Bowl, who understands the division, who's really appreciative of the opportunity and had some time to think about things that he could have done better. I think it's a great pickup, and the way that they're running the team and the way that they're approaching each game, he'll do a really good job for him, as long as he can maybe take a step back when he wants to throw down the field all the time.
Yeah.
Joe
likes to.
But having that element of the offense is an incredible boost for Cleveland as well.
All right, Zach Wilson played his best game last week as a pro. I contend I would move him to the West Coast, Seattle, Arizona, let him restart, be closer to family. He's more comfortable out there. He looks like a West Coast kid. He's not ready for the New York, Philadelphia, Boston tunnel of anger. He's just not. Like, move him back out west, whatever. But I do think him last week, what happens is the people who liked him in the draft are looking at last week thinking, I can save that kid. I think I can do something with him. What do you make of Zach, the Jets' future with Zach, and where he goes?
Well, I talked a lot about this last week. The way that he approached the game was perfect, and you heard his comments afterwards. He just was going to cut it loose. He wasn't worried about anything that the Jets could do to him. His time in New York is over. It's over. So that pressure is off him. He can't suffer really any more indignities than he suffered. So go ahead and do whatever you want to do. Take the chances you want to take. Play as loose as you want. They can't do anything to you. They can't bench you. They've already tried that multiple times. And it seems like that's the approach he's taken, and you see what he's produced. And if he can keep that mindset and not get so pressured up that he's holding the ball, that he's tentative, that he's, his mind is getting in the way of a natural ability that he does have, that they could upset the Dolphins. They could continue to cause real problems for people, because sometimes when you take the pressure off, it's a totally different player than what he's been the entire time he's been with the organization. And it makes it not just save his career, it may save the coaching staff.
I want to circle back to the Chargers, because I put up my pyramid of what I would look for. I think they need somebody that can build a culture, because chargering is a term in the NFL when you charger a game, right? So what they need, and they couldn't get with Anthony Lynn or Brandon Staley or Mike McCoy, they had capable coordinators, but they weren't guys that built cultures. I think Dan Quinn built toughness in Atlanta. Jim Harbaugh builds toughness. I don't know much about Ben Johnson. If I had to go with a coordinator, he'd be the guy. But what I'm looking for, somebody with an organization that has kids in the front office, right, to the family, a culture builder. So I feel like Marty Schottenheimer did that. Marty's teams were physical. Those Charger teams with Marty were tough and physical. They've never had that. They've just had good players, scored points, fun to watch, wild games, no culture. So what do you make? You know Jim Harbaugh. You've been in the room with Jim. If the NCAA handed down a punitive sentence, do you think he'd consider this job?
Yeah, look, Dan Quinn or Jim would be great picks. Dan was my defensive line coach in New York when I was with the Jets, and he's a great culture guy. He will get along with everybody. He'll be able to navigate through the politics of the organization. He'll find a way to get the things that he wants to get done, and not ruffle a lot of feathers along the way. Obviously, he's an outstanding defensive coordinator, so that aspect of the team should improve significantly. So from a culture hire as well as a technical hire, he's outstanding. With Jim's proven he can win everywhere he's gone. And his package may be a little bit different than everybody else's, and navigating through the politics may not be as smooth. But Jim, to me, has an incredible openness as a coach that I've seen very rarely. He's willing to try anything. He's open to new ideas, and that allows him to get an edge in places that he's been because he's not bound by conventional wisdom. And he has a culture too that I think has been very strong in all of his stops.
Well, so exciting. Eric Mangini, Fox Sports. I don't like to see people, lose their job, right? Like nobody likes that. But I do when I see a young star quarterback and I think he's being underserved, that's my exception. And I think right now Justin Herbert's being underserved. So then it's like, all right, we need to get a grown-up.
Yeah, I agree. I think that when you have a truly elite quarterback, typically he's able to take organizations, regardless of who the head coach is, and now Justin's had two, and make them special places. So I'm hoping that we're right on Justin Herbert, and he has a long, successful career with a lot of playoff wins and Super Bowl wins. But at some point, if you're really the elite quarterback that you've been touted as, you change the organization. You are the vehicle of change, and at this point, he hasn't been that.
Yeah. All right, Eric. Good seeing you as always on a Friday. Have a great weekend.
You too, Colin.
All right. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.